Anthony Joshua is facing a crucial decision that could define his future in the heavyweight boxing world. Should he jump straight into a high-stakes rematch with Daniel Dubois, or set his sights on the elusive Tyson Fury showdown? Promoter Eddie Hearn believes Joshua's best move is to go back into the ring with Dubois, seeking redemption and aiming to capture the IBF title. With Tyson Fury potentially losing his belts in his rematch against Alexander Usyk, Joshua could secure a major advantage going into a future clash with Fury. But one thing is clear: Joshua's career is on the line, and every decision he makes now could either bring him back to the top or end his reign for good. Promoter Eddie Hearn believes that Anthony Joshua will choose to go straight into an immediate rematch against Daniel Dubois, rather than targeting a fight with Tyson Fury in the first half of 2025. According to Hearn, this choice makes more strategic sense for Joshua at this stage of his career. He explained that there is a strong possibility that Tyson Fury will no longer be holding any championship belts by the time he faces Joshua, 28-4, 25 KOs, next year, and it would be more advantageous for Joshua to enter that fight with a title in his possession, specifically the IBF title. Having at least one of them holding a world title would significantly increase the stakes and importance of the Joshua-Fury clash, giving it much more substance and allure for both the fighters and the audience. In this situation, Joshua has a better chance of being the one holding a belt, as Fury appeared out of his depth during his recent loss to Alexander Usyk last May, and there is a high likelihood that he will lose again in their rematch, scheduled for December 21. Hearn's assessment is that Fury's performance was below expectations, and his inability to deal with Usyk's technical prowess makes it probable that Fury will lose again, leaving him without any belts. Hearn also acknowledged that Joshua, who is now 34 years old, could potentially lose his rematch against Daniel Dubois, 22-2, 21 KOs, which would have devastating consequences for his career. However, Hearn emphasized that this is the position Joshua is currently in, and there is no room for avoiding such important and challenging fights. Joshua is at a point in his career where he must make tough decisions to compete at the highest level, and avoiding such challenges would not be in his best interest if he wants to be among the best in the world. Joshua has already had 4 rebuilding fights, where he focused on regaining his confidence and form after his previous setbacks. Now, it's time for him to swim with the sharks and take on the biggest challenges that come his way. If he wants to stay relevant and competitive, he needs to put everything on the line, including his career. If it were up to AJ, and ultimately it is, he would choose an immediate rematch, said Eddie Hearn during an interview with Box Nation about Joshua's plans for an immediate rematch with Daniel Dubois. Hearn further added, "I can't see him doing anything else but trying to avenge that defeat." Joshua is determined to avenge his loss, and while he takes advice from Hearn, Ben Davison, Freddie Roach, and the rest of his team, the final decision will always be his. Joshua values their insights but ultimately knows that he has to make his own choice, and Hearn believes that choice will be to immediately seek redemption against Dubois. For Joshua to succeed in the rematch with Dubois, he will need a more effective game plan, as the strategy he used in their first fight clearly didn't work. During that fight, Joshua took a more passive approach in the opening round, which allowed Dubois to seize the opportunity and take control. Dubois went on the offensive, landing some powerful shots that hurt Joshua and eventually knocked him down with a well-placed right hand from which Joshua never fully recovered. The fight highlighted some of the vulnerabilities in Joshua's approach, and it is evident that a different strategy will be necessary if he is to win the rematch. So far, Joshua has not made any public statements about firing his team, but given the outcome of the fight, he might want to consider making changes to his coaching staff. Specifically, Hearn suggested that Joshua should consider parting ways with his trainer, Ben Davison. A new perspective and different coaching could potentially make a big difference in how Joshua prepares for the rematch. A fresh approach may help address some of the weaknesses that Dubois exposed in their last encounter. Hearn also spoke about the benefits of Joshua taking some time off before getting back into training. He said, "I think there are a lot of positives from taking 6 or 7 weeks off and then returning to training, rather than waiting for a fight Usyk vs Fury rematch." He pointed out that waiting around for the Usyk vs Fury rematch might lead to even further delays, and if Joshua waits for that fight, he might end up waiting until July or August of next year before he gets back in the ring. Hearn believes that staying active has been incredibly beneficial for Joshua, helping him regain his confidence and keep himself in fighting shape. For Joshua, staying active and fighting regularly is key to maintaining his performance level, and Hearn thinks it would be better for Joshua to continue with that momentum rather than waiting for a long time. In Hearn's opinion, Joshua is no longer interested in taking warm-up fights or easy matchups. He is focused on facing the biggest and toughest opponents, and that certainly includes a rematch with Dubois. Hearn did not specify an exact timeline for when he would like Joshua to fight Dubois again, but he emphasized the importance of allowing Joshua enough time to recover. The last fight was physically demanding, and it would not be wise for Joshua to rush back into training camp immediately. Taking some time to let his head clear and fully recover from the hard punches he took in the fight is crucial. If Joshua goes straight back into a grueling training camp, there is a risk of sustaining concussions during sparring, which could leave him vulnerable and half-stunned before the rematch even begins. When asked whether a loss to Dubois in the rematch could spell the end of Joshua's career, Hearn responded, "Maybe, but that's just where he is in his career." He elaborated that Joshua is at a stage where he must take on these significant challenges, and losing to Dubois could indeed have serious consequences for his career. However, he also pointed out that the same could be said if Joshua waited to fight Tyson Fury and ended up losing to him. In either scenario, losing would have a major impact, but that is the reality of competing at the highest level of the sport. As long as Joshua understands the risks involved and is willing to put his career on the line, then it's acceptable for him to take these fights. Joshua is fully aware of what is at stake, and he knows that each fight could be his last if things do not go his way. The fight with Fury is unlikely to involve a world title for Joshua, Hearn added, making it clear that he expects Fury to lose his rematch with Usyk in December, leaving Fury without any belts when he eventually faces Joshua. In Hearn's view, Joshua's primary focus should be on securing a world title, and he now has a direct shot at the IBF World Championship. This opportunity is too valuable for Joshua to turn down, as it would allow him to enter future fights, including a potential clash with Fury, as a reigning champion. Holding the IBF title would give Joshua an advantage and make any future fights even more meaningful, so it is crucial for him to take this chance while it is available. Eddie Hearn's focus on having Joshua fight for the IBF title before facing Fury is part of a broader strategy to ensure that Joshua stays relevant in the top tier of heavyweight boxing. The allure of a title fight brings not only prestige but also a level of leverage in negotiations for future matchups. If Joshua were to win the IBF title, he would be in a much stronger position to negotiate terms with Fury or any other top contender. This leverage could include a larger share of the purse or even selecting the venue for a potential fight. Moreover, having a world title elevates the significance of the fight in the eyes of the fans, making it a must-watch event rather than just another high-profile bout. Hearn understands that at this stage in Joshua's career, every decision must be made with a long-term perspective, ensuring that each fight aligns with his overall goal of regaining his position at the pinnacle of heavyweight boxing. On the other hand, the immediate rematch with Daniel Dubois comes with its own set of challenges. Dubois has shown that he has the power and aggression needed to hurt Joshua, and this will undoubtedly make the rematch a risky proposition. However, Hearn believes that Joshua has learned from his mistakes and will approach the rematch differently. The key for Joshua will be to remain composed under pressure and avoid taking unnecessary risks in the early rounds, where Dubois has proven to be most dangerous. A more cautious, tactical approach could allow Joshua to wear Dubois down, using his experience and skill to exploit any weaknesses as the fight progresses. Hearn and the rest of the team are confident that, with the right adjustments, Joshua can avenge his loss and re-establish himself as one of the elite fighters in the heavyweight division. This fight represents not just a chance for redemption but also an opportunity to prove to the world that he still has what it takes to compete at the highest level, regardless of past setbacks.